Stale door. 2 guards, bored the way men get when killing is only their job. A phone on the tray buzzes and does not stop. Latex snaps at your wrist, clean, expensive, wrong on hands like yours. Whatever is under this sheet, you don't get to say no to it anymore. Not tonight. Not ever again. Rewind. None of that exists yet. Tonight, you're a licensed trauma surgeon. $180,000 a year, a hospital badge with your real name on it. Your daughter Maya needs a second heart surgery insurance won't fully cover. $11,000, a number you say out loud like it's a dare. You have never once thought about where the line is. You will. 6 months ago, you presented your outcomes data to 400 surgeons in this same city, the best complication rate in your hospital's 20-year history. Applause you can still hear if you're honest with yourself. Maya sat in the second row, front teeth missing, holding a poster board that read "My dad fixes hearts." Right now, tonight, you still believe it's exactly what you do. The glove snaps clean and cold at your wrist, the way it has 10,000 times before. Antiseptic and the hum of a machine keeping somebody alive. A drug interaction slips past you on a Tuesday, buried in a chart nobody double-checks in time. The patient doesn't wake up. Your hands are steady through every second of it. That's the part the review board can't get past. Nobody says it to your face. Colleagues find reasons to check a different chart, take a different hallway, laugh a half second too loud walking past you. The lawsuit is $340,000 you don't have. The board meets Thursday. Don't wait for the letter. You already know exactly what it's going to say before anyone signs it. $0. License revoked. Permanent. The word stamped across 11 years of training in one afternoon. The room smells like old carpet and vending machine coffee. Nothing like a hospital. $11,000 for Maya's surgery is still due. It was due yesterday. A man who spent a decade learning to save lives just lost the only legal way left to do it. Unemployment doesn't cover a surgeon's mortgage, let alone a cardiologist's invoice. You apply to be anything, a device rep, a hospital administrator, anything that will still take a felon's cousin of a resume. Every application asks the same question near the top. Every answer is the same no near the bottom. Maya's surgery date moves. Then it moves again. Rejection letters pile on the kitchen counter like a second lawsuit. Your bank balance reads $340, a number you're almost afraid to look at twice. You haven't told Maya any of this. She still thinks Dad's just on a break. You are extremely good at exactly one skill in the entire world, and using it now, on your own, is a felony. The eviction notice is yellow, taped at exact eye level, so you can't miss it. Your wife takes Maya to her mother's. Temporarily, she says, and you both know how much work that word is quietly doing. You have never once been truly hungry in your life until now, and it turns out hunger has an excellent memory. A stranger calls your old cell number. He has work. Off the books. $400 a night. Cash. Folded twice. No chart. No name. Dr. Hale meets you under a cage bulb in an alley that smells of wet brick and gun oil, and sizes you up like a man buying a used car. He was a real surgeon once too, before the first version of this exact conversation. Latex snaps at your wrist. Older glove. Same sound. The first cut for money is the only one that still costs you anything. After that, it's just Tuesday. Boob. Plastic sheeting taped over a basement window. A kid on a folding table with a hole in him nobody can explain to a nurse with a badge. Rubbing alcohol instead of the surgical scrub you trained on. Same sting, cheaper smell. Your hands find the bullet before you finish deciding whether you're really doing this. They already know. They stopped asking your permission on the walk down here. He's 17, and he begs you not to call it in before he begs you to stop the bleeding, in that exact order. A real hospital reports a gunshot wound by law within the hour. Here, the only law is whoever is paying you. You keep the boy alive and keep his name out of every record that exists. Therefore, you're not a doctor tonight. You're something the law never bothered to build a word for. $1,500 a night. Regulars now. A motel room. Foil taped over the window. A line of women who can't afford a real surgeon's silicone or his conscience. Roughly 1 in 4 people who take an injection like this into their lungs never walks back out of an emergency room. That's a documented number, not a scare tactic. You don't tell them. They wouldn't stop asking anyway. Money buys silence. Money buys distance from the version of you that used to check a chart twice. Money buys the version of you that stops asking a patient's real name. You count it twice under a bulb with no shade, and for the first time in a year, it's more than enough. It has also never once, not for a second, felt like it's actually yours. A corkboard behind her, photographs pinned with red string connecting names you don't recognize to jobs you're about to take. Marisol runs the wall like a scheduler with a much worse wait list. She never once asks what happened to your license. She already knows. That's exactly why she called you first. You're not her first doctor. You won't be her last. You walk past your old hospital some mornings, on purpose, just to prove to yourself you still can. Nobody at the front desk recognizes you anymore. New badges, a repainted lobby, a life that kept going fine without you in it. You tell yourself that's relief. Standing here, it reads a lot more like grief with somewhere else to be tonight. $5,000 a month, guaranteed, whether anyone gets shot this week or not. One crew keeps you on retainer now instead of paying you wound by wound. A younger guy named Desh works the next neighborhood over. Same trade, same silence, already watching your numbers the way a resident eyes a rotation he wants. You used to compete for fellowship. Now you compete for whose patients bleed out slower. A reel-to-reel turns in a room 3 blocks from where you'll scrub in tonight. A federal agent circling a name on a photograph that might be yours by Christmas. You don't know that yet. Marisol calls with a new kind of job, more money than you've ever once been offered, and she wants your answer before you've heard the whole sentence. $250,000. 1 kidney, 1 night, a steel cooler on ice instead of chart. The buyer pays roughly 10 times that number. The person on your table gets under 10% of the total and didn't fully choose to be here. That's not a rumor. That's the real, documented math of the organ trade, and as of tonight, you're standing inside it, not reading about it. You don't sleep after. The antiseptic smell that used to mean safety now just means something is being covered up quickly and well. Maya's second surgery is paid in full cash. No insurance company ever asking a single question. You bought her a working heart with someone else's kidney, and you cannot make that sentence sound clean no matter how many times you rehearse it in your head. You operate on 3 more patients that same week and don't ask a single follow-up question about any of them. The follow-up call used to be a reflex, the actual caring part of medicine, the part you trained a decade for. It's gone now, and you genuinely can't remember which patient took it from you when he left your table. Desh finds you under the same caged bulb where Hale first found you, and he isn't smiling the way a rival usually does when he's finally caught up. He crossed a line he used to swear he never would. Tonight, so did you. Neither of you says that part out loud. You used to save people for a living. Now you just decide who's worth saving. Congratulations. You're finally one of us. $1 million a year. A guaranteed contract, a private clinic, real equipment, armed men, making sure nobody ever asks you a question again. You ask where Hale is, the man who trained you into this exact life. The syndicate only needs one house doctor. You get the job because he doesn't have it anymore, and nobody offers to tell you what that actually means. Stale door. 2 guards, bore the way men get when killing is just their job. The same kind of phone from the very first night of this story sits on the same kind of tray, and it buzzes exactly the way you always somehow knew it eventually would. You recognize this room before you've even finished walking into it. You built it the entire time you thought you were only surviving. Maya visits on a Sunday, 13 now, a healthy heart, a father with a private clinic she's been told is consulting work. She asks why you're never home before dinner anymore. You give her an answer that's true in every single word and somehow completely a lie. Therefore, the one person you did all of this for can never be told why you actually did it. The clinic has a window, real glass, an actual view, and most nights you stand at it doing the math on what it would cost to simply disappear. There isn't a number high enough. There's also, you're only now starting to understand, no number required. Nobody who worked for this syndicate is ever actually asked if they'd like to leave. You don't get to stop. Federal agents raid a warehouse 2 addresses from your clinic. The syndicate has a lawyer standing there before the agents finish reading the warrant out loud. You're worth more to them protected than prosecuted, which sounds like safety until you understand what it actually means. You cannot be arrested. You also cannot leave. Those are the same fact, said 2 different ways. Money buys silence. Money buys distance. Money buys the version of you that doesn't ask anymore. You bought all 3 in full years ago now. Another cooler, another number packed on ice, another name you'll never learn and were never once going to ask for. Your hands find the work before your mind agrees to it. They stopped waiting for your permission around level 3. The private clinic is the nicest room you've worked in since residency. Better light, better tools, better everything except the 2 men by the door whose entire job is making sure you never walk out of this particular life. You save people for a living once. Now, a living is the only thing standing between you and being one more body. The syndicate quietly disappears. A real window, actual glass, an actual view for once. You have more money than the surgeon you used to be ever earned in a decade, and you would trade every dollar of it for one ordinary Tuesday when the worst thing on your schedule was a paperwork audit. Maya has her heart now. You no longer entirely have yours. The glove snaps at your wrist, clean and expensive now, sterile in a way that would have made the old you proud. It's the exact same sound as your very first day of residency, and the exact same sound as your first illegal cut in a basement, because a sound doesn't know the difference between saving a life and owning one. You do. That's the whole cost, right there in one small snap. Desh never made it to the syndicate's tier. Not enough referrals, or too many. Nobody bothers telling you which. You still drive past the cage bulb in that alley sometimes, tinted windows up, and think about the rival who taught you exactly what crossing a line costs. He's gone now, the way people go in this life, quietly, and without an explanation anyone owes you. A young doctor waits outside Marisol's door the exact way you once did. Desperate, delicenced, out of better options, quietly rehearsing a sentence about how this is only temporary. Marisol looks at him the precise way she once looked at you. You're not the first doctor on this board. You won't be the last. There's a man in Geneva who's going to want to meet you. The phone on the tray buzzes and does not stop. Latex snaps at your wrist, one more time, clean and cold and utterly automatic. You pick it up before you've decided to. Somewhere down a basement stairwell exactly like the one you started on, another life just walked in asking for the same off-book miracle you once were. You already know exactly what you're going to say.